Welcome to Pain Management Pilates by Kerryn Wellness. Today we're going to be talking about why leg strength might be exactly what you need to help you out with any pain or discomfort you might be experiencing in the lower or mid to upper back. Now, when we're suffering with back pain, we are often less likely to move because we're in a lot of pain, okay? So that makes it really difficult for us to be going to the gym, doing our exercises, walking, moving around as much as possible. And this is exactly where the problem gets worse. If the back is tense, spasmed, or working too hard, it is likely because something in the chain is not doing its job, and therefore the back is working overtime. Often we find that this is the fault of the lower body, the legs, the glutes, the hamstrings. They tend to be super inactive, they're not coming to the party, they're not doing their jobs. Now, if you're seated for long periods of time during the day, this is only going to exacerbate that issue. Okay, because we're sat down, the glutes are tensing up, the hamstrings are tensing up, the hip flexors are tight, and nothing is working optimally. So, I would like to introduce you to 3 of my favorite lower body movements that are specifically designed to help you out with your discomfort in your back. Now, movement number 1, you might know as a deadlift, you might know it as a good morning, you might know it as a simple hip hinge. Whatever you know it as, the important thing is that you are practicing it. So, we're going to start off with our feet just a little bit wider than our hips. And to help people understand this, I like to put one hand at the base of my head and the other hand on my belly, okay? And we want to imagine now that we're holding the spine straight. We're going to soften the knees. Without soft knees, this hinge is not going to happen. So we're going to soften the knees, and I'm going to start to stick my tailbone back. Notice how my spine hinges forward, it doesn't bend. So by sticking my bum back and bending my knees, I create a fold at my hips. My spine is still straight, and then I come all the way back up. Let's try that again. Let's soften through the knees. Send the hips backwards. Notice how my spine remains straight, but I fold over at the hips, and then I come back up. Now, if you have super tight gluteal tissue, or if your natural posture is that your tailbone is tucked, you're probably going to find this really difficult, and that's okay. If your hamstrings are super tight, you're probably going to find this very difficult, and that is okay. So what I want you to do is get yourself into the position, soft knees, and take hold of your gluteal tissue, so just underneath your glutes. And as you send your hips back, imagine you're pulling them apart. So you're holding onto your sit bones and you're pulling them apart to create space for that hinge to happen. Those muscles need to open up, they need to release, they need to relax and expand so that they can contract to bring you back up. Okay, when this is happening, we are also experiencing a eccentric contraction through the pelvic floor, which is super important. Muscles need to release so that they can contract. Okay, so that is your hinge, and there are a few ways you can do that. But if you're new to the hinge, doing it without any resistance is the first step, and just educating your body that instead of bending at the spine all the time, you can possibly soften the knees, send that bum back, and then do whatever you need to do and come back up using the legs rather than using the back. Movement number 2 would be your simple squat movement. Now, why is the squat important? Because throughout the day, you are doing a squat. You're sitting down at your chair or at your desk or on your couch or on your bed, and you're standing back up. You're sitting on the toilet and standing back up. You are doing a squat throughout the day. Now, very similar to what happens in our hip hinge. If that tailbone is tucked and we are locked through those glutes, when you sit down, in order to mechanically sit down, your spine needs to bend. thus placing unnecessary pressure and discomfort on your spine itself and the muscles around it. So what is our solution? Our solution is learning how to sit with that same hinge feeling. So let's have the hands on the hips, soft knees. You're going to start the squat by sending the bum back. Once the bum is going back, we're going to bend the knees. Notice how my body is slightly hinged forward, and then I'm going to come back up. A nice way to practice that is to have the hands against the wall. Start relatively far away from the wall. You just kind of want your fingertips on the wall, and you're going to sit. You want to imagine that your arms are going to stay straight. So I'm going to send the hips back. And in order for my arms to stay straight, I really need to move back, because if I don't send the bum back, if I just go down, my arms are going to be bent, okay? And then immediately you can see my tailbone's tucked, my spine is blocked. There's nowhere for me to go. The only way I then get lower is by crouching over. It doesn't look good, does it? Well, it doesn't feel good on your body either. So, fingertips onto the wall, send the hips back, trail it down, find that deep squat position, and then bring it back up. And I want you to be thinking about that when you're sitting down and standing up throughout your day-to-day practice. Movement number 3 is textbook Pilates. Okay, so come down onto the floor, onto your hands and knees, and we're going to be doing a leg movement without moving the spine. Okay, so I'm going to come onto all fours because this is the easiest way to know that my spine is not moving. Once you're here, the spine is straight, and you want to imagine that right here on my tailbone, I'm resting a beautiful glass of my favorite drink, whatever it is. Mine is spicy margaritas. So it's the last spicy margarita in the world, and I cannot spill it, which means I can't move my tailbone. So from there, I'm going to slide this leg backwards, see how my tailbone has not moved. I'm then going to lift the leg up. My tailbone has not moved. I'm then going to bring it all the way back in without putting it on the floor, and I still haven't moved my tailbone. So by practicing this, you're starting to teach that gluteal and hamstring tissue how to lengthen without pulling the pelvis and the back into a white girl twerk, okay? We want to just keep it there. We want to keep that spine as straight as possible as the knee comes in and out. So practicing this movement on both legs, nice and slow and focused, is going to help re-educate the body. Most of the time, it is less of a strength issue and more of a functional movement pattern issue. And in order to truly find change, we need to identify those patterns, re-educate the body, and then strengthen within those new patterns. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for a 30-minute lower body focused workout that combines these movements and gives you a strong leg workout.